3:14 p.m. We have the approval of the minutes from May 6th, and they are attached. Thank you, Marina. So take a minute to take a look at those, and then
I think there was already one suggested correction, which is under the discussion on Apple, it should read policy 6030, not 5030.
Correct.
So if we could correct those throughout that entire paragraph.
Okay.
And I might want to note that in the discussion of committee appointments, we had a rather lengthy discussion of the policy itself and how the assignment is made. That's not reflected here. And then Dr. Miller suggested at one point having co-chairs for that committee.
For the committee appointments,
Priorities and
IEC, where are we?
Under priorities and planning, the bottom of page 1 and the top of page 2. There was a suggestion made that in order to make a transition possible, we consider co-chairs.
Yeah, what I was suggesting, I think, and we have to go back and look at the tape to be exact, but what I was suggesting is that both sides would sit down together at the table and look at the existing accreditation policy and procedure, and then work together to try to come up with something that was satisfactory to both sides. I don't think, and again, I have to go back to the tape and verify that, but I don't think I actually said co-chairs. And I think Julie Kiotis was here. She's in that corner over there.
Yeah, she came in and said something toward the end of the meeting.
Yeah, so maybe Julie did, but my whole point was basically that I wanted everybody to try to get together and try to sort this out to the extent that that was possible, so that we could make adjustments in the future if needed.
Yeah, we tried that, but then at the Senate meeting, it was brought to our attention that under our policy, or under procedure, it says co-chair. So we tried to do a co-chair, but due to the fact that it's not there, we had to vote on a co-chair,
Right.
a co-chair. So
Right.
the matter's been resolved.
Okay. Well, okay, and I think a little later in the meeting we're going to talk about this topic anyway.
Okay.
So did you want to try to tweak the minutes in some form or fashion, or?
Actually, they're under Apple and Apple funding. There are two places that 50-30 needs to be.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Just make sure you get both.
Okay.
There's 3.
Okay. Is there anything else then?
Yeah, there was a spot, I can't find it right now, where it mentioned your name and it says it, he. Oh, here we go. Well, again, under Apple, second line.
It.
However, it and he are committed to professional development.
60-30 is the it?
Is that what that?
So
60-30?
Howard, Dr. Miller, what is the it?
Well,
And Rhoda Carroll asked, it says in policy 50-30 students coordinator to the sport, but
You
not.
could just take out the it.
Okay.
Special
Yeah.
means,
He.
however.
There we go.
He, Dr. Miller,
So
Is.
is.
committed.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you. All right.
It's a powerful policy, but it's not that powerful.
Okay, so may we, by affirmation,
Approved.
they are approved. Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Moving on to announcements.
Does anybody have any announcements?
Okay, public comments, non-agenda items. Valerie.
Thank you. I just wanted to make a public comment about a possible transition period between the outgoing executive committee and the new executive committee. It just seems that there should be some sort of coordination at meetings like this to discuss issues for the future, since obviously the issues you are discussing are issues for next year, issues that we'll have purview over. And it seems odd that there is no formal transition process that's been implemented so far. I think we're in a unique situation where all of the old exec committees are being replaced by 4 new, and so that might be the problem. I'm not sure, but I just wanted to note that it's kind of odd that we're kind of sitting over here in the corner while plans are being made for next year. So.
Okay. We really can't speak to that because it's public comment. This is a challenge of being
No, but
around that
perhaps that
committee.
will come up when we talk about future meeting dates,
Yes.
and we can discuss what we would want any meetings that occur in June to look like.
Are you planning on being here the whole meeting?
I have to leave the people.
I'll make sure that
Yeah.
whatever we discuss gets,
Well, either that or, oh,
Stephanie will be here, she
nice
said.
new art. that
I know,
got-
it's beautiful.
Huh.
I like that one, but what happened to the other
I
one?
don't know. Sorry.
When they get into my backyard.
Yeah.
Maybe I
need a
But
lawn
but what I was
mower.
gonna
Really?
suggest
You don't
is
have a
is that,
wall on your
is that we could move that item up further on
Sure.
the agenda before Valerie gets away, so you can hear the communication.
If there's no other public comments, are people okay?
I have some public comments. First of all, I'd just like to ask if policy 6030 is going to be placed on the agenda for June 3rd, Board of Trustees. What's the status of that?
You know, that's the one that has to go to the board subcommittee. They have a subcommittee, so I don't know where that stands currently. I can ask Crystal, but I don't know.
Yeah, here's, it's been through College Council, and
Correct.
nothing else needs to be tweaked on it, right?
No.
So, yeah, as of, today's what, Wednesday? As of Monday, I asked Mary if she was having any luck getting the board subcommittee scheduled. She was getting closer. Maybe I can go ask her real quick to see if that's.
Oh, I
been
can
done.
ask her.
See if she has a date yet for that. And if it's not in person, even a conference call.
Locked in.
We're locked in.
I told you, you gotta be careful with these rooms.
First vault, now we're locked in.
I told you something.
Yeah.
Roaches check in.
No, but the odd part about that is that the drug policy and the 60/30 were on the same day the college council. And only one made it to the board and one didn't.
And the reason why the drug policy that did is because we had a financial aid imperative tied to Title IV. And if you remember at the board meeting,
They agreed to hear it without the subcommittee.
remember Jeanette made
reviewing
a
it.
comment, she handed over me, and she said they were grumpy about it, but that it was this imperative tied to the financial aid.
We have an issue here with an accreditation standard that has not been met,
Right,
that could be
Seems-
resolved
right,
with the approval of the board of this policy. So it
Well, not
seems equally
resolved.
as important to me
yeah,
as Title IV
Yeah, but
requirements.
not resolved. What did you say?
She said that it will not be on the next agenda because Dr. Mann is out of town. And so the committee won't be meeting prior to the next board meeting.
Okay, so June 17th would be the next meeting.
Right.
All right, so what we have to do is, based upon what Chris said and others, we just need to get on the agenda for June 17th. So maybe you can make a note, we'll let Mary know that we just have to have that one on the meeting. So June 17th.
And it's
Or we
my
can-
understanding you need 2 weeks turnaround time to get it on the agenda for the Board of Trustees. So that would mean that it would have to be given to whoever puts it on the
I don't
agenda
think it's that.
2 weeks before the 17th. Maybe you all have more clout than I do.
Yeah, usually it
But
is 2 weeks, but I think in this case, we have over,
You do have more clout.
yeah, we can do it.
Or I would say, just the same way they gave that exemption where the policy did not go to the board, to the subcommittee,
Do the same
and it went
thing.
directly, we should do the same thing here, because this does involve
Oh.
dollars, and it does involve accreditation. And they keep saying that accreditation is important, and this is a big step for us when we go in June.
I mean, I agree with you, but we also have the committee established. We can meet.
Yeah,
The law says, or the AB 2558 says that we have to have an advisory committee, which we do have. And then we have to have a plan. So it doesn't stop this committee from meeting and putting forward some ideas to create a plan. That's my bigger focus, is that we need to start creating a plan.
yeah, and so I think that.
Because we're not in compliance with it until we've done that. It's two parts. It's the committee and the plan.
Right, and
And
I,
heard
then
of
what's
it.
the plan? We have
I've never heard of that
What's
before.
the plan?
We've been doing this for months. also.
Well, but the policy just sets forth who the people are who are working on it. We need a plan for, okay, what are the trainings that we're going to have next year? What exactly does our professional development plan entail? You know, we're going to do Canvas training, we're going to do equity training,
Well,
we're
why
going to
haven't
do...
if this was necessary,
we-
why didn't this come up before so we could have been kind of working on the plan?
Well, it needs to happen. I've talked to, because Manny had language in that, remember that email that went out, that you sent out with Eduardo? And I kept changing the wording and said, the policy and procedure are not a plan. We have to have a plan. The plan is actually, what are we going to do? What is the content of what we're going to put on?
And part of the plan part, at least I thought all along, is that we're hiring the new development, our professional development director,
Right.
and that he or she would be the driving force working with the committee to create a professional learning plan or development plan for the campus. So I thought all along we were doing okay, and without overstating it, because I think it would be inappropriate to make this clear of a statement, once the policy gets to the board, short of anything very unforeseen, they're going to just rubber stamp it because it's just another policy that makes sense for the district, and because of the accreditation. So what Kathy is saying, and what I've kind of been thinking has been going on, is that we just continue to act as if the policy's been approved, because it will get approved, but we should just continue to do the work that we can, which is why the position's flown and things are happening, and you know, Pat's been involved, Manny's been involved, Kathy's been involved, others have been involved in 60/30 right now. So although the action by the board is necessary, it's not stopping anything from happening right now. We're moving forward.
Except that it's not official.
Well, okay, but it will be official, and the point is that we're not stopping the work of that action. That work is still going on. You know, this is not a good comparison, but it's accurate. Many times we take things to the board to ratify. You know, the board ratifies actions because the business of the college had to go forward.
Mm-hmm.
So in this case, although I would not say this to them publicly in a board meeting, in effect you're ratifying something that months of work has taken us to pull together, and we're actually moving forward with it. I mean, I can't think of anything that's in there that they're going to have any significant
Well, the
problems
policy
with.
itself is like 2 sentences.
Yeah, and that the administrative
So I
procedures
don't think
behind
they're going to
that.
have an issue with that. All it says is we have a committee that is comprised of the constituency groups, and that's how we're going to put together our professional development.
Will they approve a policy that doesn't have a plan?
Yeah, because the policy states
they don't get
you
to
have
create the plan. They don't get to approve the plan.
Right.
So then they just.
That's an
they really
operational
just need to
issue.
approve they just need to approve the policy.
Correct.
But you're saying that they won't approve the policy unless we have a plan.
No, she's saying
No.
there-
I'm saying that 2558 requires that we have a plan.
Mhm.
2558 has 2 parts. One, we have to have an advisory committee that has all the constituency members on it,
Mhm.
and we need a plan. So a plan is, what are the activities you're going to put forward in any given year? I mean, we've talked about wanting to have an equity focus.
Right.
We have the new faculty orientation, that could be part of it. We're working on that. We know we need to have professional development for distance ed types of
But that's for
activities.
every year. Every year you have to have a plan.
Correct.
Okay, fine.
Correct.
Well, then, so we just need the policy approved, and then we can work on the plan for the next year, but the Board of Trustees doesn't need to see the plan.
No.
But they can go ahead and approve the policy.
Right.
Well, then why not have them approve the policy and then we work on the plan?
I agree.
Okay.
I
Well,
agree.
Then how about June 17th?
Yeah. I have a note here to call
Okay,
and
good.
Mary and make sure that it
Well,
happens.
that's.
To the extent that I have the ability to do
Oh,
that.
okay, well.
I'm not a
whatever
member of the
ability
board, and
you
I-
have, then let's do that. So it's, what we want to see is
Yeah.
that the policy is approved by the board.
Right, because that is part of 2558.
Okay,
and
right. So
and
that's
until
the
it's
first part.
approved,
Yeah.
So that
then
we
we
don't
don't
get too
have
far
an
into
official
discussion
committee.
on public comment, what I've heard is that there's an interest in getting 60/30 approved, and it's been forwarded on so that it can be placed on the board agenda for the second meeting in June.
Right.
And we will report back if we hear any complications to that effect.
Excellent.
Complications being that maybe Jeanette Mann or someone from that subcommittee won't be able to hear it or see it by that date. So-
Well, let's put it this way. This will be on the agenda June 17th by hook or by crook.
Okay, done deal. Okay.
Okay.
And then part of the plan too, and just my last comment, I know, is that we also want to create the calendar. So we've talked a lot about creating a calendar
Right.
so that
That's
everybody
part of the
knows
plan.
what's
Right.
happening and things aren't stepping on other things.
We're breaking
and-
all of our Brown Act rules here, you know that. don't you?
I'm sorry.
Well, it's
Please
public
forgive
comment.
me.
Can't have that much public comment.
Any other
anytime,
public
yeah.
comments on non-agenda items? All right. I
Of course, it does
heard
bring up the topic, does Capm really need to be a Brown Act? But I won't go there today.
Capm does, unfortunately, because it's in policy,
Next,
but.
yeah.
Yeah, it is, okay.
I heard a recommendation to bring up item number 14, future meeting dates, to the top. Are we okay with that?
Mhm.
Okay, so beginning on item number 14, future meeting dates. If you remember, one of the requests was that we get back onto a cycle of not meeting on board meeting dates. So the non-board meeting dates we have are June 10th and June 24th, but June 24th is the day before College Council. Don't know if that makes a difference to anyone. And then that would be it for June. And then there's July 8th and July 22nd.
So we'll deal with June, they can deal with July.
I think based on the public comment, the question was, in a transition period, do we want to have more of a joined last June meeting? I'm just throwing that out there.
I think it'd be best.
To do it, to have the transition. I agree.
Yeah, because what Valerie said is right. I mean, we're gonna make a decision that's gonna affect them.
Yep.
And I think if we're gonna make a decision, we should make a decision. Not we,
So-
but we.
Okay.
So let me ask you this, so if,
We're not supposed to, but
I
if
know.
nobody minds,
Right.
I think we can do it.
So,
I mean, in the procedure.
Yeah,
what I'm
I
saying.
totally agree. So would that be for both June 17th and the 24th? I mean, from here on out, or just the transition?
Well, I think it's one or the other, or we could do both, but the available dates are June 10th and June 24th.
I would say whatever meetings we have in June, we should meet,
Okay.
whether we have one or two.
Make it easier to get agenda items off.
Yeah, right.
June 10th, I've got second level interviews.
It finishes at 3.
That'll be a
Already
fun
looked.
day.
I've got it till 3:30, but that's okay.
Yeah, I don't,
Yeah, I have it till 3:30 too. Well, we just got sent a agenda to that, so let me look that
yeah, it
up.
does go till 3:30.
Okay, so that would be the 17th
Tenth.
would work?
Well,
Or the-
we're trying to avoid board meetings,
Yes,
so the 10th and the 24th.
10th or the 24th.
Okay, the 24th would work,
Mhm.
be my swan song.
Oh, well, ours too.
Exactly.
Let's have a party. Let's have a party.
Hey,
You guys can all go out drinking afterwards.
Hold up. What's fair?
Oh, my, wait, Dr. Bell says he's right, thank you.
What?
I'm on vacation that week, and it would be a swan song to my marriage if I said no, so.
I think,
So, you know,
So I don't have to.
So
what's
the
good
10th.
for the goose is good for the gander. If we're gonna have them, we're gonna bring Verdian also, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
yeah, you
So,
can get more.
you can do the 24th without.
Well, wait, I'm looking at my June 10th, my email I got yesterday from Lisa, and unless it changed, it says until 2:30.
You know, on the 17th, if you wanted to, from a little bit earlier, maybe 2 to 4, that gives us some breathing room. Would that work for you guys? It's a board meeting day that day.
The 10th isn't good for everyone?
No, the 10th is bad because of interviews that several of us are going to be in. Unless
wanna
we
start
started later, unless we started at 3:30
Or 4.
or even 4 on the 10th. But
Either, whatever's convenient for you guys, it's fine.
so why don't you, if we can start at the 10th later, like at 3:30,
That's fine, that's fine with me.
and
Okay.
it might be a little bit low. So let's do the 10th from 3:30.
Got it.
And if you wouldn't mind, or Marina, if you wouldn't just mind sending that off to all of us for our calendars.
Yeah.
Is that what thing?
Yeah, we'll do that, and we'll include both execs.
Yes. Great. All right. Good.
Okay.
We agreed on the 10th.
And the 17th
Far
from
as
2 to
we got.
4?
No.
No,
No,
no.
the
It's
17th.
going to be on the 10th
Okay,
3:30.
at
Never mind.
3:30.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Item 14 down, we are on to item number 5, committee appointments, Part A, reassignments.
Well, we went over the list last time. I'm continuing to try to make little adjustments to it, but I don't even know that we need this back on here.
No, I was just, a couple of things is, how do we make this list, like a more, not more effective, but more accurate?
Well, I think one thing that has to happen is when we give reassigned positions, that there's some term limit.
Okay.
Because one of the reasons some of the people don't get put on this list, I determined, is that it goes in on a change of assignment form. And if they're not changing their assignment, then why are they sending the form in all the time?
Right.
So there should be a period where we're redoing these and giving other people the opportunity.
So I've said it before,
I know
I'm going
you're
to say it
gonna
one
say
more
it.
time.
It's not really a change of assignment form.
Right, a manager has a responsibility to establish load for a faculty member every semester. So every semester, from an HRIS point of view, Human Resource Information Systems point of view, they do have to get a piece of paper or some type of an electronic thing that says, Bob Miller will either continue in his release time assignment doing X, or Bob Miller will go back into the classroom to do Y. And that has to happen either every semester or annually, if in fact it's determined that we know going into it that it will be, and then the piece of paper is completed. So at the end of the day, as far as accuracy is concerned, if all the managers, deans and associate deans in this particular case, are doing their job correctly, they will be submitting paperwork and or an electronic form to Human Resources. And that should maintain the accuracy, because we know assignments don't change.
Or maybe we retitle the form because it's confusing to people.
Yeah, it's either, you can say change of assignment or continuation of assignment for release time. It could be just be whatever. You can change the form
Right.
anyway. You can call it.
Well, it created a lot of confusion for the dean. So, well, because it said change of assignment, and they said the person's continuing in the same role. So why would I change it?
Because
And,
the
you know,
assignment's the teacher.
And maybe
Yeah.
during a Capm meeting, so what I think we should do is, so we have the managers do that. And then the academic senate, they can send out an email to all faculty saying, if you're on you're on release time, let us know, what are you doing and what's your percentage, so that so then we now have accumulated our information, we have our data, you have your data, and then during a Capm meeting, we can say, okay, well, according to us, we have 55, and according to you, we have 55, we're good to go, versus we got 50, you got 40.
Mhm.
There's a dilemma, and I think that's a good way. Maybe once a semester or once every semester, those numbers that meeting can occur.
Well, I think the answer is sure. Why not? But the HR should be able to generate every semester the report, and that report is that's it. I mean, regardless of what we think is happening or hope is happening, what HR has is what's happening. And at the end of the day, everybody gets paid, right? Because we have money assigned. It's just a question of what cost centers they were allocated to.
Right.
And whether or not, in your case, you want to know whether they were in the classroom or not. So we generate these. So sure, I think we can do it any way that people want. But
I'll offer this. We can direct the deans to do change of assignments every November 15th if it's a semester assignment. So then, by then, the spring schedule will be loaded and you will know where the Capm is going to carry over. If it's an annual assignment, have it done by April 15th, because then you know the following fall whether the Capm member is going to be teaching. So you just set those automatic dates, and we can tell the deans that if someone's going to move out of an assignment fall to spring, get it done November 15th. If they're going to carry through April 15th in the next year, mark the date to do the assignment, whether they're going to carry over for the next academic year or not. And so that way you would know, and it's built into a timeline when deans are establishing class schedules. So that will link back to when they're going to get back in the classroom, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Well, and then to go with that, we would have to, for any positions that are changing, we should have a timeline for when that goes out. Like there are several out right now, and there are adjustments being made based on other factors, and like me looking at hours. I've been working with the deans for over a month on this, trying to look at what people are doing, what are the hours involved.
At that same time, now that that's happening, let me introduce what Valerie stated. And we should, within all these positions, include a statement in there that regards transition. In terms of I'm finishing my 2 years.
What's the term? Yeah.
And so let's suppose I'm finishing, my term finishes effective June 30th, but by May 1st, we know who's coming in. So there should be something where at that point, that should be occurring.
I agree, because right now we don't have a good transition for the
Right.
study abroad. nor do we really for the,
And we're starting
for
now.
the
We should-
assessment
yeah.
position.
And we should do it now. Incorporate it in within the process that's being created.
Yeah, and each of these should have a clear job description, because I was running around trying to, in some cases, create them, or they hadn't been written in years, and they needed a lot of revision before they went out again.
Mhm.
So, you know, that takes a huge amount of time when you're trying to do it quickly. It makes it difficult.
Right, right.
And of course, every one of the O3 funded, the soft funded ones, they theoretically have position descriptions because they're tied to specific grants and/or funded functions. So every one of these should have position descriptions, and not in the traditional sense, but a brief one-page
paragraph.
bullet point. This is what this person is doing. This is the release time they get. And every one of these release time assignments, that document should be stapled to the whatever blank form we're going to call it that is submitted to HR. This person's got 25% release time, and they are doing these things.
Mhm.
Click, and that's it. And that's how we should be doing this.
Yeah, and there's some little changes being made, like in English, a number of people who had 10% here and 10% there, doing all these miscellaneous things. It was all compiled into a coordinator position. And so there are things like that are happening. And I know that we have to have a bigger discussion about what faculty coordinators do. Would it potentially lead to department chairs? It's discussion with the FA and with the Senate.
And in the writing of the percentage, I think in order to avoid a problem, we shouldn't give a number. We shouldn't say 40 or 20, because this faculty member teaches 5-unit class and that faculty member teaches 3. So it should be more based on the unit than the percentage, because you're 26%. And but if I be doing, I'd be doing 20 for me. So just to avoid that.
It's a very good point, and I don't know how you always address it, but it's
Yeah.
true, because depending on the type of
The
assignment the
schedule,
faculty member has, it's not an equal 20% per section thing. Math faculty, science, or math faculty, English faculty, some E&T faculty, business faculty, depending on the types of assignments they've got.
Well, my experience has always been you keep the reassignment flat, and if that means that
You
somebody
round it up or down depending on what it
No.
is.
No,
We had
if
it
someone-
just as
flat, and then if
flat
people
rate.
have to take on
So,
And
an
then it would-
odd amount,
it would-
then they
Part
take
of it
on
would be
an odd amount.
overload, or
Yeah.
it would all work out in the end.
So, like if it's 40%, but you know your teaching assignment ends up being 67%, then that last 7% would be considered above and beyond your contract, and you get paid for that as
As an
adjunct
overload.
hours.
Yeah.
That's an overload.
Right. That's how, because in some ways it's not really fair. If someone's a department lead or whatever you want to call them, and let's just say, for example, they had exactly the same number of faculty, the same number of duties. You can't give one person 35% because they happen to teach this, and someone else 20% because they happen to teach
Yeah.
that. You know,
You
it-
create parity for the reassignment.
yeah, the parity is
and
the job. It's not.
Yeah.
Readjust.
Okay, right.
You
and then the-
readjust the academic assignment.
And once we
which
get a
can be
little more
tough.
sophisticated with Banner, that becomes easier.
Okay. Now, in regards to load, so this is something that I don't like, but that's the way things are. I don't think the college has the right to tell me that if I teach above 7 classes, that my effectiveness goes down. I know what I can teach and I know what I can't teach. I know if I can teach 10 classes, I know if I can't teach 10 classes. However, according to the college, you have your 5 plus maximum 2 overloads.
But that's a working condition.
Right. Well, but, and the reason I can't do more than that is because the college says that my teaching abilities are lowered because I guess I'm overextending myself.
Is that contractual though, Edward?
Yeah.
Then
That's contractual based on, the school saying that.
but if it's contractual, it should be discussed with the union, not necessarily
this is what
with this group.
okay, but what I'm leading off to is that it's the college that made that determination, not the union. With that having said, the way I can get around it is by taking stipends. Okay, so we should find a way to limit stipends in order, because if I'm doing 7 classes, I'm doing 3 stipends, we're back to square one, that my effectiveness, according to the college, decreases. So how do we get into that conversation?
That's a negotiated item. And
Stipends? So I can do as many stipends as I want?
No, not if it hits the maximum through ed code.
not if it's just a different way to get around.
Well,
Going
that's the
over the
point. That's
assignment.
what's happening right now, is stipends are being used.
So
To
what is the
avoid having
maximum?
to
So what
pay
is the
people for
maximum stipends
classes?
Can I take?
No, I think what you're trying to say here is that people have a full-time assignment. People have release time perhaps within that full-time assignment. People then teach the maximum overloads on top of that. Then on top of that, they get stipends. Or even if they don't teach the overload, they're getting stipends to do work that takes the place of overload. And that in general, what's happening is that the individual is just is overtaxed to do good work for students and for the institution. I would submit to you that if and when that's happening, that is a failure of management to properly allocate resources and assign people. In other words, if we managers are allowing that to happen, whether it's a combination of assignment, of overload, of stipends, and release time, and that any one individual is working an 80-hour week, just to use that as an example, shame on us, and we should be called on the carpet for that. Okay? Because we have responsibility for the quality of what happens inside the classroom, and at that point we begin to wonder what's happening in that classroom if somebody is stretched that thin, whether it is through any combination. So
Except in some kind of extenuating circumstance where we need somebody to do a
things,
particular thing.
in an emergency, things happen.
And-
yes.
And it's not right for us not to pay them, but they already have an assignment for the semester and they just happen to be someone we need to do a particular,
Right.
Yeah, but
like
my-
you received some pay for doing accreditation that was not known at the beginning of the semester.
but
So
what
just
I'm-
as an example.
I'm just trying to
Have
get to
no
the point that,
overload, have no-
that
Okay, well,
Not
I have no
threshold
idea.
anyway.
I have
this
no
whole
idea,
purpose of
but-
reassignment is to make it fair to distribute it equally amongst, well, I'll say faculty. Then the stipend should have the same thing, so that all faculty have the same right to apply for that stipend. Now, do the deans know this? I mean, has the
Well-
management sent anything to the deans that, hey, you need to be aware of this, or
Yeah.
we frown upon this procedure, this practice?
I'm not sure, a stipend is different than a release time assignment.
Right.
Okay, so
I
it's,
agree.
it's a very different thing. Sometimes a stipend is given to someone because they have a very particular expertise, or there's a time-sensitive situation, so I would personally not want to tie everybody's hands to such a degree that we couldn't
Yeah, I agree.
use a stipend when we needed to because stipend implies a short time thing. So I would personally have a problem with trying to tie our hands to that degree. Release time I get in a big way because that releases them from their primary assignment, which is to teach. So I really get that. Stipend is implied to be over and above teaching, however teaching is defined for that individual.
So I don't want us to get too far away from the agenda item where we're kind of off course, but is this an item you'd like to see carried over to the next meeting under a heading stipends to talk about?
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Planning and priorities.
Planning priorities.
Okay, so what specifically are we going to talk about? The
Just
vote
the
that you
re-
guys did
yeah,
and
just
everything else?
report that
Okay.
Chris got voted in.
All right, so I've given this a lot of thought, as I'm sure you can imagine. And it seems like the premise of this is consultation and rely primarily upon or mutually agreed upon. So, Ryan, do you have a document there that sort of tries to... So yesterday, Ryan and Capm and I talked about this, and today we further talked about it. And I thought that as we begin the conversation, we would start with the premise. Thanks. We would start with the premise of consult collegially, and what that means. So if you go down to the kind of the middle of the page in yellow, consult collegially means, and this basically comes out of the ed code,
Right.
Mm-hmm.
that the district governing board shall develop policies on academic and professional matters through either or both of the following. Either rely primarily upon the advice and judgment of the academic senate, or the governing board or its designees and the academic senate shall reach mutual agreement by written resolution, regulation, or policy of the governing board effectuating such recommendations. We are a mutual agreement campus. We reach mutual agreement by written resolution, regulation, or policy of the governing board effectuating such recommendations. So then it goes on to talk about our administrative procedure 3001, and we can talk about that. But basically, that's the premise. We consult and mutually agreed upon. Now, so that means that you guys have taken your vote, and now you're consulting with the administration, which, at least for the next 40 days, is me. I look at this and I think, what is our exigency right now? What is our emergency right now? Our emergency is the accreditation determination that's going to come down July 1, 2, or 3, somewhere in that framework. And it's going to tell us that we are either reaffirmed with some action we have to take, or on warning, or on probation, or on show cause. Okay? There's somewhere in there. I'm guessing it's warning, but I don't know. I'm just going to guess it's warning. We will have 6 to 8 months at best to respond to what is essentially going to be 7 or 8 recommendations, I think, right? And they're meaty recommendations. Okay, so what that means is we need to have the most knowledgeable, prepared people that we have working on this. So from the faculty self-study coordinator position, at the moment, that person is Stephanie. Stephanie's had the training, she's had the background, she wrote the report, she did all of that kind of work, and Stephanie is willing to continue at least through the fall. And now I hear maybe even beyond that, but at least through the fall. So on the basis of that emergency...
Let me stop right there. When you had made a statement at our last meeting that probably she might stop in the fall. And Stephanie at the Senate meeting said, no, I didn't make that statement, so...
Okay, then if I misstated, I apologize.
So,
You didn't misstate it, that's exactly what you said.
so Stephanie, okay. So do you intend to stay through the fall?
I said, I was asked, at this Capm meeting, I was asked if I would stay at least through the fall. I said that I had agreed on that, and that then we would see what would be best for the college as we moved forward. At the academic senate meeting, I said, yes, I was considering, we'd have the conversation about me stepping out in the fall, but that nothing had been set in stone. That's what I said at the senate meeting.
So you're considering stepping out, you're considering staying out?
I think what she's saying, if I may, is that she's going to stay through the fall and then kind of see how it goes after that. But it's our impression that you did. Well, I'm acting under the illusion, not the illusion. I'm not acting under the impression.
Assumption.
The assumption. Thank you. I'm acting under the assumption that you are with us through the fall, and through the fall will get us primarily through the writing of the response to the accreditation, whatever that's going to be.
And that after we have a better idea of what's going to happen next semester, we can assess, and then if I'm going to step away, then we can go through the process of
Right.
whatever it is we need to go through.
Right, so in the process of doing that, because we don't know exactly what Stephanie's going to do, we might start a training process. We might send you, for example, Chris, to accreditation trainings. We might ask you to be on an accreditation team to begin to get a sense of the standards and the like, because, as it says in our procedures here, it says specifically that in the fall semester, blah, 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 will be appointed and begin training for the position by attending conferences, meeting with the previous SSC, and developing training for writers. The point is...
2 years before the self-studies due.
But the point is, the whole idea is that these jobs are so complex and require so much knowledge and training that really you just can't take anybody who hasn't been steeped in this. They really have to get prepared for
Well,
that.
I think that was our argument for adding a
That's
second person last time we had the meeting.
Okay, but
And that was completely thwarted by Stephanie when she
Okay.
refused to allow that possibility to be voted on by the Senate.
Okay, so but let me finish my thing on this here. So the exigency of the accreditation determination, that's 1. 2, our existing policies and procedures, which I would again remind you are what they are until they are changed through our shared governance process. 3, Rajan is starting in 40 days, and he one of the reasons they hired him is because he has expertise and understanding and a take on all of this, and who knows where his head's going to be, and I don't want to obviously get in front of what he wants to do. And 4, we have a past practice that this position, this self-study coordinator position, is a flown position. It's flown throughout the whole campus, and other people get to apply for it. And so if we just take an appointment from the Academic Senate, which is contrary to what we've got going here, it not only is contrary to the existing policy and procedure, but it's contrary to our past practice of flying an opportunity for all the faculty. So
And it's contrary to what I've been working on for the last month,
the
which
whole
caused,
the really study
which,
thing.
you know, the study abroad, all those positions just went out
Okay, well-
in a fair and open process.
So I'm going to end this real quick by saying this. I am personally willing to invest time in Chris, and I don't mean that myself, but I mean so that she can work with Stephanie in some capacity, not as a co-chair, because that doesn't exist. We don't have a co-chair. But she could work with Stephanie, work with Kathy, take advantage of whatever training might exist out there right now. I understand, Ryan, that the ACCJAC is going to start having an academy coming up here pretty soon, right?
2016.
But that academy is designed to do what?
Well, basically, the ACCJC does not have any regular trainings other than what's on the website and what is given to people who are either going on visiting teams or who are being visited. And they're trying to correct that by having a more open and ongoing training on an annual basis beginning in 2016. However, they did say that if we requested it, they would come and give our campus a personal training.
Right. So there are things that we can do to train not only Stephanie and not only Chris, but anybody else who might want to participate in this going forward.
Yeah, because other
Including if
people,
you're
if they
interested,
want,
Chris,
if they're
putting
interested
you
in
on the
training, they
list
should
for
have that
visits.
opportunity
That's
as
right.
well.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is what I'm hearing, okay, so a couple of things. In regards to past practice, we use past practice in terms of when retirees when faculty retire, past practice was to rehire them immediately. And then, a couple of years ago, that came to an end. And our own general counsel said, past practice is not policy. Can't do it. So I don't buy this past practice.
But past practice in this case was flying the position and
It-
giving
it-
and
it
giving
does-
other people a chance.
It doesn't matter. It's what's written. According to our own counsel, it doesn't matter what past practice was. That's not the policy. In regards to mutual agreement, you know what? I agree with you, but I've been saying this for years. We did not reach mutual agreement on the winter. And we did not stay. We changed it. We did not reach agreement on the NCNs. The college changed it. We did not reach mutual agreement on realignment. The college changed it. So now to suddenly want to follow what the college has now been following, I think it's wrong.
Okay, so as far as past practice on hire faculty, and as you well know, we are now hiring retired faculty. I hope Pat comes back and teaches after her 6 months. I think that was a moment in time. It was a very bad decision. We all own that decision, but we're not going there. I don't think anytime again in the near future. So that just to make that real clear for the sake of the record. Any fact, well,
We don't
there was
know.
a time 2-3 years ago when the position was taken that once faculty
Yeah,
retired,
I heard about
they
it.
were gone,
Oh,
Right.
okay.
never to darken the doors again. That was in place for maybe a year, and then we quickly fixed that. As soon as I had some power and control to fix that in my area, Dr. Bell as well fixed it. And we have 33 faculty retiring now, and they are all certainly welcome to teach after the 6-month thing, so that their STIRS is not impacted. That's one. Two, as far as past practice and this whole notion of past practice, I will say to you that I stated that as a reminder that was something, an agreement that we all came to 1 or 2 or 3 Capm meetings ago, that we would fly all release time opportunities that were O1 that had to. And I would include this one within that, just to give everybody a fair shot at it. But that's just my opinion.
That has not been agreed upon. And throughout everything that Manny gave you, and you discussed with Manny, there were always a number of positions that were not part of that reassigned time policy because they were based on policy, other previous policies, because they were based on bylaws and things like that. So there have always been a group of things that are not part of that policy.
And by the way, and I agree with you, so I stand correct in that regard. Any position that is within college policy that's dictated or specifically stated is going to be selected another way, you're absolutely right. There's an
And
exception
that is where the clarity comes from.
You're exactly
We know
right.
how it was done because it's in the policy.
Right. But this policy right now is actually silent on how that person is selected. If you look at our administrative procedure and our policy, it doesn't say that the self-study coordinator should be flown
No.
at all. It's silent on that. We happen to have done that at that point, but you're right. It may not dictate how we do it going forward. And so when a group sits down and reworks this, very clearly this time around, my guess is you guys are going to want to make it very clear how the person is selected.
What
Well,
really muddies the water here is that what we did Monday is that we did not vote on a self-study coordinator. We voted on planning, priorities, co-chair. So let's focus on that. And this is where this gets complicated.
Because
and if we want to
it
go
says in the policy it's one and the same.
Procedure.
right,
The procedure, it's one and the same.
But then we go a step further. The self-study coordinator will be appointed by the academic senate in consultation with the college superintendent president. And then when we go down here, it says consult collegially. Means, so now we're talking about two different things. It doesn't say consult collegially, it just says consultation.
Right. Well, again, we are a mutually agreed upon campus
Mhm.
as opposed to rely primarily upon. So because we're mutually agreed upon, I have the power in the short period of time I have left to not agree with I won't say not agree with because I understand where it's coming from, but I just want to say this. My decision is really predicated upon the fact that on July 1st, 2nd, 3rd, we're going to get a determination. We're going to have a very short window in which to resolve that. So it's my decision right now that we keep the team that we've got. We invite Chris to participate in that team, not necessarily in a co-chair because that doesn't exist per our policy and procedures, but to participate and join. The more the merrier to help through this thing. That's kind of where I am right now. And I will make that recommendation to Dr. Verdeen, and then he can decide otherwise, because he very well might. He might come in and say, why did you ever do such a thing? I mean, I don't know, But at the same time, though, I think it's the wise.
Well, and he's
thing
going
do
to
right now.
question, actually, I don't know for sure, but he's probably going to question the fact that we've lost the ALO. I'm brand new, not brand new, but I'm new to this role. And then why would we change out the other person? So you have two brand new people at a time when you're going to get put on sanction.
We're not changing out the other person.
I would like to
But-
see some real honesty here about what this is all about. Because there's a lot of discussion on this campus about respect for people. And I think what you guys are doing is really disrespectful of the policies. Now, we're going to try to interpret these things to fit something that you want for some reason, whereby the word consultation all of a sudden becomes to mean the same thing as consult collegially. Because you've decided those terms are synonymous.
But there's a,
Now, there's nothing about that job that any relatively bright person could not learn to do and understand. And I would put forward to you that the reason we're in a fairly strong position as far as knowing what's going to happen with us is not because of that report that was written, which really whitewashed a lot of the issues on the campus. There was pressure from the board, there was pressure from administration for the faculty to just go along with that report. And now we're finding out that there are some serious problems at this college. And by ignoring them and signing that report, we might not be in the same position we're in now to deal with them.
Right. So let me.
I'm very aware of what those problems are.
Yeah.
And I don't understand why that report is touted as being so outstanding when it really did a disservice to the college by trying to hide some of the issues that are going on here.
So, first of all, I appreciate your being very honest and to use the infamous A word, authentic here, because I really appreciate hearing that from you and understanding that and respecting that. And what I want you to know is that I feel that level of disrespect as much as you do. I understand where it's focused, I understand the shared governance issues, I understand the issues that this board has with this, at least with the academic senate and maybe a large number of other people. I get it, okay? I communicated it to them. Some of them accept it, some of it are in denial, but believe me, I understand that that's the crux of our problem here. I think Dr. Burdine understands that, okay? I really do. Can't speak for him. To be very authentic with you, I am making this decision, and I won't say agonized about it, but I spent a lot of time thinking about this over the last 3 or 4 days because I knew Capm was coming, I knew this was going to happen. And it wasn't until last night that I said, okay, if I do take the position that there is this emergency, this exigency that says that that we're going to have to deal with this report within 6 or 8 months, and that I feel that I need to field the very best people that I can field and not disrupt anything that's been disrupt anymore, anything that's already been hardly disrupted. I need to make the decision to stick with Stephanie if Stephanie is willing to keep doing it. Okay? She says that she is. At the same time, as inclusive as we need be to have other people help us, it may be the exact wrong decision and it may further divide the campus or divide the rooms, what have you. And I'm just going to have to live with that decision. And then Dr. Burdine has an opportunity to change that decision if he feels a need to do that. The other thing I'm struggling with, do I really want to put him in this position? And by making this decision I'm going to make, I'm putting him in the position. Because my guess is no matter what I say to you today, that won't be the end of it. He'll come in and you'll say, we have a serious problem here. And then it'll pick up again. I'm just trying to think of what I believe is what's best for the college at this point in time, for this period of time, as we prepare this follow-up report.
Well, I would counter that with saying, what does Chris not know, or what does she lack that she would not be able to move forward in the same capacity?
Okay.
And out of respect for the faculty, why would it not have been possible to twist the rules to make 2 people be co-chairs? So that we could work side by side on this, as opposed to holding a hard line on the co-chair issue and then wanting to blur what does consult mean and what does this policy really say, to allow Stephanie to stay there and not include another group.
Because whoever is the chair, co-chair, is not doing this job by themselves. You're part of it. There's a whole group of people involved. So it's not one individual. So what is it that Chris lacks?
Okay, well, first of all,
that the team cannot do.
With the second part of what you said, probably nothing. What the team cannot do. What Chris, quote unquote, lacks, what Bob lacks, is a specific level of ACCJC provided experience and or training vis-a-vis the standards and vis-a-vis how these documents need to be prepared and set forth, which
has been done.
No, well, the recommendation hasn't. The follow-up report has not. That's the thing that's going to keep us, either get us reaffirmed or keep us from going to probation or something. That document becomes very, very pivotal now. And I went through this last time around when we were on morning, so I have some experience or knowledge of it. As far as the co-chair thing goes, there's nothing in our world order here that allows us to do that. Informally, could we do it? Maybe. Are we, as I said, I think at the last meeting, and I'll just repeat it again now, there's a divide among the faculty right now. There's a divide among the faculty, and there's a divide among the faculty. There's divides everywhere. So what we really need to do, and this is what Julie was mentioning last time, she was agreeing, we need to get the 2 faculties together to start talking to each other. But that's not our job, that's the faculty's job to do that. And I think you guys are going to work, I hope you work towards that. But for me to overlay that there's going to be a co-chair, I don't even think I've got that authority.
But according to the policy, you don't have the authority to subvert the decision that was made by the Senate on Monday either.
Well, I do in the sense of the whole mutually agreed upon.
But that's your interpretation, that's what I meant. You're going to say consult collegially is the same as consultation. You've decided those two terms are synonymous. They aren't necessarily synonymous
So
at
we're
all.
not talking about, it's just,
But it's convenient for you to say they are right now, so
Well,
you
it's
can
not
do
necessarily
that.
convenient, and so I just want to take a slight exception to that, because I'm really trying not to win a debate or argument here. I'm trying to be very respectful of this mutual consent versus, or mutual agreement versus rely primarily upon.
you know
And-
what, you know what's very important about is that on number 4, if in the consultation process, agreement has not been reached, existing policies shall remain in effect.
Which means this.
Well, we're not changing policy.
Well, but
We're not changing policy. What policy did we, as a result of the academic senate's vote, to have Chris as the president, what policy was changed?
Again, it goes back to consult collegially, consultation, which is what this word speaks to in the policy, and mutually agreed upon versus rely primarily.
And that's
So
in
can I-
regards to developing policies. We're not developing, consultation means that the district governing board shall develop policies on academic and professional matters. This does not matter in regards to the Senate's vote. This is for policy. It has nothing to do with policy. This was a vote as to who's going to be the co-chair. This has nothing to do with policy. So if you can tell me where it says anything about a vote, this is only for policy.
Okay. If Dr. Verdeen were here, my guess is he would, and he did not have any of the backstory that we all have. He would wonder why Stephanie, Chris, and Kathy, assisted by Ryan and everybody else, could not sit down together and work this through. He would probably also wonder why, what's in a label? Co-chair, kumquat, papaya, what's in a label? He would just want to get this thing done. And he would want people to be at peace with each other in trying to do it.
And that's exactly why we accepted your definition, but Stephanie said, no. Stephanie, let me ask you this. Do you accept Chris to be a co-chair with you?
Like a co-chair?
Yes.
I don't think the policy allows
Okay,
it.
but if we all agree to massage the policy to say co-chair, would you have a problem working with Chris?
No, I don't have a problem working with Chris.
Would you accept her as a co-chair?
Not unless it was revised in policy. I'm afraid that we're getting away from the actual policy.
Well, then then there we go.
So can I ask
so let
a
me
few
ask-
questions?
Before you do that, let me just ask this real quick, and Ryan, I apologize because I know you've been patient. So we've got a firm stand on the governing documents of the institution, and you could build a strong argument for that, right? Versus working together is fine, it's just the title. Okay, you folks have a strong desire, it seems, for the title.
The Senate board.
The Senate board has a strong for the title, but for the title, co-chair. And my goal, and I know my colleagues' goal here, is to try to make sure that we put the best effort forward that we can on the follow-up report. So that's where we're stuck right now. Okay? If we didn't do co-chair, would you still participate?
Well, how open would the chair be to someone who would want to actively participate who didn't have a title? I mean, how actively would that person be encouraged to give, to put in a lot of time and effort and to give their best effort?
Have
I mean,
equal
we all know that
responsibility.
if you don't have a title, if you don't have a seat at the table, you can, as you all have admitted right now, you're sitting out in the audience somewhere, all right? And that's one thing. And the other thing is, I would think that in the interest of the college, since this is such an essential issue, that putting not just the best heads together, but heads that may bring different points of view. You called it disruptive, but it seems to me that the best decisions are made when people have frank discussions with each other, and they may not agree, but through that process of not agreeing, they can arrive at good decisions. So I think that just to have the same person in place to carry forward may seem, for continuity's sake, a very safe thing and a good thing, and that's true. We do need continuity. But there have been problems in the past, and that's why we may be, we're going to get in trouble with accreditation. So do we just move forward the same as we've always done, or do we want to bring in some diverse voices that are very smart voices, by the way, and who have been very involved in this? And so then you have two people who may not agree that's true, but by them working together and looking at this from multiple points of view, we're going to arrive at a better solution.
Okay.
So I think it's in the interest of the college.
And there is not one word that you just said that I disagree with. I think you're absolutely right. I think that at the end of this, we want to have as many people with the experience, the intelligence, and most importantly, the desire to get this taken care of. So where we are is simply tied to the title. Kathy?
Can I on the title issue, because I think Eduardo made an interesting point, which was that the board voted to appoint Chris as Planning and Priorities Chair. Now, I'm just ignoring this situation for a second, because in the effort to be authentic and really talk about what the interests are here, Chris, are you actually looking to be the Planning and Priorities co-chair, or are you looking to be the Accreditation Steering Committee?
Well,
Or
my
accreditation.
understanding is it's the same thing.
It is.
And my interest is in participating on that accreditation report.
So you're not, if they were separate, then in other words, you would not be looking at the planning and priorities. You're interested in the accreditation component.
That's my primary interest, but I'm certainly willing to go forward with both of them. I've been on planning and priorities for many years.
Absolutely. And
as a
I'm
member
just,
on that committee. Yeah.
I'm just information gathering right now is where my
And
brain
I do
works.
think they're sort of inextricably interwoven.
And they are right now. They are. I agree with that. But I just wanted to see, because there was the comment about planning and priorities chair versus, the accreditation chair component. And I just wanted to see where everybody landed on that in terms of the interest to begin with. So the interest is as it relates to accreditation. I guess the question I would ask is this. What is the process by which somebody is removed from a position? Because that's essentially what the vote did on Monday.
And it was a respect issue, I think, for Stephanie, if you're talking about respect. Because there needs to be respect for her as well and the work that she has done.
No, because we've had other votes. I can go back to the vote on the BRAC co-chair, in which the current co-chair, the decision was made to open it up for anyone to apply, and the Senate voted. The person that was a co-chair applied. Another one applied, and the one that was current was voted out. Where's the lack of respect? It's just a vote.
Can I say something?
Yes.
That was when a term limit was up. I'm in this position currently. I didn't voluntarily try to vacate the position. And so I appreciate that comment so I feel like I'm being forced out of the position that I still want to participate in. So that's the first thing I think that needs to be said. And so if we're going to talk about respect and collegiality, I think we have to recognize that that's what's happening. The second thing is if the conversation is that we need more people on campus to be trained to do this and to participate so that we have more participation, I don't disagree with that. And what I was suggesting is that for continuity's sake, I continue through the fall, but we could fly this position in the fall to allow other people who want to participate, and then we can have training for them as I transition out. Or we could set up, because it's also in the procedures that the person who's in this position can train the next person. And that would allow us to follow the procedures. So if the whole argument is that we want more people and not just one person doing it, and you don't want me to do it anymore, that's fine. But I think we should go through a process that allows everyone the opportunity to do that, including Chris. Chris could obviously apply for it. And if she is being proactive about going to ACCJC training and everything, then it's going to make her application that much more competitive and have a reason as to why she should be chosen for the position. But I think we need to open that process up. And so I'm fine with that. That would be my suggestion, is that in the fall, we fly the position when all the faculty are here. We do it early so that we can identify a person. That person can start to go through the training. I can work with that person to help facilitate what that relationship is. We can be very clear about who's going to do what. And then we have more people who are trained on campus. Then it's collaborative, it's transparent, and it answers all of the things that you've been wanting. Unless, if we're going to be honest, the whole point of this is to remove me, in which case that's a whole different conversation.
Okay, so let's go back to the statement. What you want to do, you first of all, you want to abide by the procedure. And then so the procedure says there is no co-chair, so you do not accept that. And again, the procedure does not call for the position to be flown. So you're willing to follow procedure here, but not over there, because the procedure calls for the academic senate to appoint, not for the position to be flown.
To be fair, it doesn't say how the academic senate would
It says appointed. The
Yes.
self-study corner
But
will be appointed by the
you
academic
do
senate.
acknowledge that you have different ways of appointing people. Sometimes you have a drop-down menu on your screen, sometimes you fly positions, sometimes you just pick as an executive committee. There are different ways.
But in the
of
absence
appointing.
of
In the
any
ba-
description there,
Mhm.
The bylaws
Yeah.
clearly state out where the academic senate appoints and the board approves. And in this case, the academic senate appoints. And I think the biggest important the most important question here is the administration going to accept the vote of the Senate? That's what it comes down to. Because the Senate board approved a vote. So will the administration
And
accept
at-
that vote?
At the moment, the answer is no on this particular, for all the reasons I've mentioned. However, I do want to say to Pat and to Chris and Stephanie, everybody's got very rational, well-informed positions here. What Stephanie just defined would actually have to happen in parallel to what my number one consideration is, which is the follow-up report. Okay? And what complicates this thing 10 times over is the fact that we've got this follow-up report. It's like looking down the barrel of that particular shotgun. That's what, and to me, that's my number one focus. If I was to say, if there was a greater good here, it would be getting that report done as well as it can get done, absent a total rewrite or a reconsideration of the policy and the procedure, and absent whether we call it a co-chair or a co-chair and who appoints, who doesn't. Because in the rewrite of the procedure, we can clarify that. I do think that at the end of the day, though, the superintendent president, whoever he or she would ever want to, whoever he or she would be for years to come, would want to maintain absolute control over these critical decisions tied to accreditation. I don't think anybody would want to cede that responsibility to another entity for exactly the reason that's going on here. We've got this division of viewpoint, and stuck in the middle of being held captive is the best way to do the follow-up report. So I can't imagine any superintendent president, whoever he or she would ever want to cede that level of control, unless it was a rely primarily upon campus, and then he or she wouldn't have a choice in the matter.
So in the spirit of collegiality,
Yes, sir.
why don't we do this? I'm going to accept some of the words that Stephanie stated, and the Senate approved Chris to be the PNP chair. Stephanie talked about transition, talking about when she's done. So why not just say that Stephanie stays on, and the transition starts now? Why does it have to wait till the end of the fall? Why can it not start now?
I agree. I was going to
And-
say we can do exactly what Stephanie just suggested,
But it
short
starts
of
now.
flying the position, which is really
So
not
everything
covered
remains
in
the same.
policy.
The title is, the title of co-chair is there.
There's two questions about that I can think of. One being is that presupposes at the end of this fall, Stephanie's finished with the position. That's one. And two, I'd almost want to extend it until the follow-up report is completed
Well, first of
and
all,
submitted, which is going to be about March, I think, right?
there's going to be more than one follow-up report.
I understand it, but I'm talking about the first one that
The
gets
first one's the
through.
biggie.
No. Well,
It
maybe,
depends.
I don't know
It
that
depends
anyone
what-
is
it
bigger
depends
than
what
another
the
one.
determination is, right? It depends on the
Correct. If
determination.
they come back and they decide in a few months that we've solved all of our problems, then we won't have another follow-up
Right.
But we
report.
can always say that the
But when's the
transition
first-
ends, the transition
Depends on what
ends
they
in
tell
March.
us.
But when we-
What is it that Chris cannot know or learn between now and the end of March? So if it goes, there's another follow report after March, well, by then, if Chris hasn't learned the job by March, then Chris doesn't deserve it. So,
You know,
so
it's-
if we want to extend it to March, let's extend it to March. But there's no reason why to say between July and March, oh my goodness, how can you not learn the job?
It's partly putting together all the documents and writing a report. And I don't personally feel that when we're in this situation, this is a training ground. There's a certain expertise to putting these together. Chris, I would urge to go on a site visit because then you get to, not get to, but you were required to write significant sections of this report, and then you learn that kind of writing. It's very distinct, and it's connected with the standards, and it's not that easy.
Are we going to bring in another consultant to do that writing like we did with the accreditation report?
No.
Because
No.
that wasn't written by Stephanie, that was greatly enhanced by a consultant that came in and changed that language.
I
so
don't
that
know.
it, so that it
I don't
fits.
know anything about that.
Huh?
The consultant didn't write. The writing teams write, and then the consultant gave feedback.
All right, so I think we're at a standstill. The Senate is going to move forward with Chris as the chair. If the administration does not want to accept that, I don't know what's going to happen. But as far as the Senate is concerned, Chris is our PNP co-chair.
Well, I think the other thing that you're leaving out here is the fact that we do have a new president coming in, and he's entitled to be consulted with on this issue. Forcing it this quickly, I mean, it's not an emergency, and I think he should be consulted with. I mean, he should have that ability to have a say in this. He's going to be here in, not very, 4.5 weeks, 5 weeks. To have Bob make that decision and have that pulled away from a new president is not fair. I just think it should wait until he gets
To
here.
not accept the Senate's vote is also not fair, and to simply throw this mutually agreed upon when it's convenient to the college is absolutely wrong.
But it requires someone who's got
Yeah, and let me say
background
that-
and expertise
So
in
let's
pulling these
go
kinds of
ahead
things
and go
together.
back.
But let me just speak to the mutually agreed upon for a second. The calendar is an example of mutually agreed upon in this sense. You guys made a recommendation. I didn't agree with it. I took it to the board, and the board agreed with me. It's the same thing with this issue.
But we didn't agree upon it, but if mutual agreement.
that's since the
we
beginning.
didn't agree
Well,
upon
no,
We
it,
didn't agree, and
yeah.
it never should have changed.
It shouldn't, that's the whole point. It
So-
should not have changed.
Okay.
The NCN should not have changed. Realignment should not have changed. We didn't reach mutual agreement. If we want to follow
Which
policy.
we never talked about, is what you're saying. And you know what? You're right. And it's a new world order. It's a new world order under me, and I can't guarantee because I don't live in his body, but I would assume that with Dr. Verdina, it'd be a new world order under him too. They would not have hired him if it wasn't going to be. And if they did, shame on them. Okay? But I can't. The Dr. Verdine that I know, and I know him really well, but the meetings I've had and the discussions I've had, he will. If he was sitting in this chair right now, he would try to find the answer. Okay? The only answer that I can find at the moment is the answers that we've all talked about, but there seems to be
Is Stephanie not willing to do what the suggestion that I just made?
I don't know what Stephanie's willing to do, but what
Stephanie,
I'm,
would you be willing to accept Chris as a co-chair, and you can, till either the end of the fall or March, you serve throughout the transition?
I have an issue that the position is not being flown. That's.
Even though the procedure doesn't call for it to be flown?
Yes, because I think that we as a Senate worked hard to create a subcommittee to create these transparent processes.
But a procedure is not in place, so if you really, like you stated, the procedure does not call for co-chair, and if you cannot, what you're doing, you're cherry picking. This procedure should be followed, but this one should not.
I respectfully ask you putting this on me.
You're the one that said no.
No, I said that the policy didn't allow for it. That's all I said.
The procedure does not allow for it.
Right, the procedure does
Okay.
not allow.
So we
for
can't
it.
fly because it doesn't allow it for it
That's
either.
not, no, you're parsing the language and then you're putting the responsibility on me. I think that when we go back to this, we're still not answering the question of why I'm being forcibly removed from the position.
Okay, can we find, if we want to go
I was
to,
appointed by an academic senate, I was appointed by an academic senate president. So why am I forcibly being removed from a position that I have not voluntarily
No,
paid.
I think our original interest in doing this, which we expressed in the last meeting, was to have another person trained beyond just one person, because we lost Matt Jordan already, and it's a big hole. We have a new person here. We have one person on the campus who's been doing this. If she gets hit by a bus, we're in trouble. So the idea was to get somebody else involved, to bring somebody else up to speed. I had no interest in kicking Stephanie out and taking over.
Okay.
There was a total
I'm gonna make a
acceptance
decision.
that we should share this.
I'm going to make a decision, all right? And the decision is this. In the interest of trying to get this done, and this being the follow-up report, and this being what has to happen, I'm going to decree that you are co-chairs. And if that results in Stephanie backing out of this, then we will have to do what we need to do, hire consultants, find other people who can do it. But I don't want you to land on Dr. Verdeen. I don't want the two faculty senates to be at each other's throat. I will make this co-chair decision. I do not like it. I make it under protest because of what the policy says. I think that it does need to be written now. But if this is going to keep our focus on the accreditation report, I'm going to decree that. Now, if Stephanie makes a decision to bow out of this tomorrow, which we have to make that decision soon because they're making assignments, they're making schedules. Stephanie can make that decision. I pray she doesn't. I hope she doesn't. I hope that she can see the bigger picture, but I'm not putting this on her. It's on me. Okay, so if that crashes and burns, and the whole thing crashes and burns, it's on me. If you crash and burn, it's on me too. But I'll make that decision and call, because to me it's just a label. Because you guys have said that you were happy to work with each other. I heard you say 3 times you're happy to work with each other. If the difference between you working together and not is just a label, a co-chair, then that's a bigger issue.
So what about making a trainee?
Trainee?
Right.
Okay.
Because I truly feel that this position requires a training period.
All right, then make it a
I mean,
trainee.
if you can
Are
get on a
you live with
team
the
in fall
trainee?
to go to some college, you should do that.
Probably spring would be more likely, but yeah.
But people do back out. Teams have been assigned for fall, but people back out. Whatever training you can get, I think you need to do that because, like I said before, putting someone in a new position when we're in this situation, this is not the appropriate training ground. And
See, to
I
me,
need assistance writing this,
Right.
and it shouldn't be.
and to
It
me,
should be someone who's had training and had the experience of putting these things together.
and to me, whether it's a
so-
co-chair or a trainee, the delegation of duties and what you need to help you get this thing done, I guarantee you, Dr. Verdeen, Dr. Bell, our assistant superintendent, we're going to get you whatever resources that you need to deal with it. If she's a Chris, if Chris is a co-chair or a trainee, doesn't matter what we label it, as long as the work is done, okay? Would Stephanie feel better with the term trainee, or does Stephanie even want to speak at this point?
What was I
Okay.
going to say? I mean, when you put these documents together, I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into it, not beyond just the writing. It's not that I don't think you're smart. I do think you're smart, and I've had no problems working with you at all. But you put these things together, and you're throwing them together at the last minute, and you got links in here, and you got evidence, and you got charts, and all these things have to be thrown together at the last minute, and people have to be able to have that technological expertise, that writing ability, changing things. Those are skills that I developed over a 3-year period.
And knowing how a visiting
And so
team
I
is
don't
gonna
take that
look at the
lightly, because
document.
when you've got the institution's reputation on the line, that's
Okay.
nothing you take lightly.
And so by me doing what I just did, Stephanie may decide to take that expertise and go do something else, okay? So that's what's at risk here, okay? And if she does that, then we're gonna have to, either Chris is going to do it, or somebody who's going to do it, who has the expertise, have to hire it. And if we hire somebody from the outside, they don't know anything about us. The last person we hired as a consultant did some writing, what have you, but didn't have the context behind it, it was a problem. It takes a lot of work, a huge amount of hours and work to throw these things together. And now it's going to be further
It's
complicated.
a horrible thing, I'll just tell you. Having been through it 3 times, I wrote 3 reports, essentially by myself. It's a very difficult task, and you've got documents everywhere, and I mean, one of my concerns with having 3 people is the sheer logistics of it. You know, who's doing this, who's got the documents, who's got the links. You know, that's the world that this is, and it's not pleasant much of the time.
Okay, so I've made a comment. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say about this?
And we can call Jack Pond and ask that Chris be put on the list of faculty who are, because it has to be an official list that they pull names from.
It has to be the way that faculty get on a visiting
Or
team.
anybody.
We could
Anyway,
Or
likely,
administrator.
we
starts
could
with
likely
a
get you on
letter
a
from
committee quickly.
Spring.
Even in the fall, we call Jack and say, Jack, we need Chris on a committee in the fall. He believe me, he could get you.
It would give you a very good sense of what it's like to try to throw these reports together, because you're throwing
Even
together
if
an
they-
entire
even if they
response
added-
to a standard.
Ryan, even if they added her to a team that didn't need another faculty member, they could do that. Although, as Kathy said, people drop out all the time for one reason or another.
Because it's a huge amount of work, and you don't get paid for it.
Well, I think Chris knows it's a huge amount of work. I mean, what I'm hearing,
I mean, but being
it's more
on a
like
team,
trying to
you
scare
don't
her
get
off
paid
from
for
doing
it.
the job. I think Chris is up to the task, so.
Okay,
When you're
well,
working, I don't even know how many
and what
hours, you don't
Kathy's
get paid for
saying
any of it.
in desperation, because she's been through this, is that she needs able-bodied hands at the wheel. And so.
And it's not a matter of being smart, it's a matter of
Experience.
having been through it. That's what it is. I have no doubt
Well, you
can
have written
learn
one
it.
of these before.
What?
You have written one of these reports before.
I've written 3 of them.
Stephanie has written one before?
She wrote
Oh,
the
follow-up
substance.
reports? I don't know. I've written 2 follow-up reports because we were not cleared after the first.
So I think everybody's going to be relying on you for the guidance.
Except
and
the problem is I have a
expertise.
giant job aside from this.
Right, but you're the only one
Um,
here who's ever done it before. And so,
Which is hence why we don't want to lose Stephanie's expertise in this process.
But it's not
Why- has she
that
written- has she
different
written one
than,
before?
it's not that different than putting together a report in response
And
when
the
you're on a
answer is
team.
she and
And it's-
Matt
and it's-
co-wrote the.
A follow-up report. Because we're talking about follow-up reports right now.
Right.
And
I've
how
written
many
2
has
of
she
them.
done?
I don't know, I
No,
think.
We've been talking about it, like, I'm not sitting in the room.
I was just going to say that. I think Stephanie could tell you that, can say to that, can respond to that.
How many have you written, Stephanie? Follow-up reports?
An official follow-up report, I've
Yeah.
done response reports.
But not
official
follow-ups.
follow-up, no.
Yeah.
So
But
we're
the
talking about
point-
follow-up reports, so.
Yes,
there you go.
but there's the same style, same approach, same links. I mean, there's a lot of similarities in terms of how you throw them together. In any event, what I'm trying to do here, and I'm apparently not being very successful, is I'm trying to bring you folks together a little bit. Okay, I'm trying to find a way for you folks to sit at the table, work together for the good of the college in terms of the preparations report.
That's the
So-
ultimate thing.
Right, and so I quote-unquote decreed the co-chair title. Probably not worth much of anything, but I've done it because it's not within the policy procedure, because that's my attempt to try to get people to work together. Now, Stephanie may say that she's had it, this is it, I'm done with this nonsense, I'm done with these people, I'm done with everything. And that's what I risked here, okay? And then as far as Kathy's concerned, now she's gonna be very concerned because she doesn't have that resource, so now we're gonna have to backfill that resource. So
Well, Stephanie
Dr.
said
Verdeen
no.
could come in here and he could say, you know what, Bob, your decision was absolutely the wrong decision, and he could try to get Stephanie to change her mind, if Stephanie in fact decides not to do it, I don't know.
Okay, Stephanie's not here.
I know.
Kind of funny sitting back
But
there.
I
didn't say no, I didn't say no, I
I-
said I didn't want to respond
So what I
right
was
now.
about to say is Stephanie needs time to think about this. That's what I was about to say, right?
What I need, it is unclear to me, in the procedures, it's very clear what this person's responsibilities are. If that is split up, that becomes very unclear to me. And while Chris and I, openly admit that we're willing to work with one another, there have been challenges with that relationship in the past. And I don't know what this looks like. That's all. I don't know what I'm committing to you know, and then I still have issues with the fact that this is being forced on me when I was in this position. So I need to think about that. That's all. That's all. I didn't say no. I just said I needed some time to think about it because this is very unclear. This is very unclear. And now we have to completely re-describe like what this position is. And I just don't know if that's, you know, if that's in the best interest of how this works or who does what or how we divvy out the responsibilities or what that means while there's a training period. I just don't know. So I need some of those things clarified to me before I can make a position. And I don't like it, I don't appreciate it being couched in a way of then I don't have the best interest of the college at heart if I'm not willing to move forward with that. I think that's unfair to couch this, you know, it would be the same thing, be very unfair to make Chris choose that too and then say, Chris, if you're not willing to be co-chair with Stephanie, then you don't have the best interest of the college at heart. That's really unfair to put us in that position. So there are concerns, I have very genuine concerns. I object to the process by which this has all happened, and I just need to think about it. And I need more clarification as to, as the ALO, what do you see these two roles? How is that supervised? Who does what? I mean, we have stuff due soon, you know, and so this has to all get, you know, hashed out. And I just need to know if that's something that's gonna work in my schedule or if I'm willing to take on the stress that I think this is gonna create. So those are just things I need to think about.
Well, I think step number one is a meeting between the three of you. But that would clarify a lot of these stresses that you have.
Yeah, and so what I want to do is end this conversation now, because I think it's been productive, a little painful, but productive. I would suggest that the three of you, well, after you have time to consider, get together, see if you can work something through for what I would hope would be the best interest of the college. And I know everybody has that best interest, or else you wouldn't be sitting here today. So can we move the agenda at this point, or is there anything else anybody else wants to say?
Let's move.
All right, thanks everybody. So, cosmetology.
Done? I mean,
Yeah,
It's-
it's done.
okay.
Stick a fork in it, it's done.
Same thing with dental hygiene.
Dental
Unless you wanna-
hygiene.
Well,
is-
dental hygiene was yours. I don't know
Done.
what it was.
Okay.
Couldn't figure it out, it's done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes
Um,
it easier.
Winter, summer pay for hiring committees, what we want is, so we stated our position as to what the Senate said we want to happen, and we just want to get your position as to whether or not that's agreeable to you or not, or you have a different way of compensating the faculty. And so so what the Senate agreed to do was have the chair of have the members of a hiring committee submit their hours to the chair,
That they spent reviewing applications.
applications, and then that chair would average it out, whatever number, and then that number then be given to the fiscal, payroll, wherever to pay. That's what the Senate agreed, and that's what we said, but we don't know if this is something that the administration agrees to or has a different way of compensating the faculty.
So how many committees are there in the summer? There's
What-
a couple of dean committees.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to ask right now.
Well, there's all these coordinators.
There are a number of.
Yeah, but those aren't, I mean, you know, you're getting 2 pages to read. I mean, I would,
Well,
I mean,
plus
at some
meeting
point.
times. I mean, it would cover meeting times, interview schedule, and reviewing applications.
So, I have mixed feelings on this. This is something I think that
I do
Dr.
too.
Verdeen needs
I
to
do
weigh
too.
in on before we make a commitment. If I got the job, I could answer your question. I didn't get the job, so I really can't answer your question. And I really think it's something that we need to discuss with him in terms of his past experiences and practices and what have you.
So I'll
I could
re-agendize
debate it
for
on both
July.
sides. Yeah, I could debate it on both sides.
Oh,
but I
what
do
we
think-
got?
Eduardo, if I may
Perspective's
ask,
still there, though.
If I'm hearing this correctly, the only difference between how we compensated faculty for participation in search committees past summer versus what is being recommended now is the balancing and the averaging and the compensation of time for reviewing applications?
Right.
Because there have been such large numbers.
Okay.
My understanding of last year, the college did not want to pay for the time the faculty spent reviewing applications, only the time in the room.
Well, I don't recall the conversation or the request coming forward for the review of applications last year, and I may have missed that.
Well-
But I do know we compensated for the
Interview.
Face-to-face time.
face-to-face meeting,
Right.
the meeting when you get together and determine who you're gonna, just everything from the point where you finish reading to you finish the process. We compensated for that.
Right. Well, last year was only from the moment the group got together. The application part did not. So that's, you and I had that conversation where we need to figure out how many applications a faculty member could read per hour. And then, so that became the issue.
See, that's the new wrinkle in this.
Yeah.
In the past, in the very, very recent past that I'm aware of, we did compensate faculty who were outside of the contract period for face-to-face time to complete an interview committee. When we had this conversation earlier in the year, in my mind, we only had the context of 36 faculty hires and could we complete the committees in time. And then we had some issues with the recruiting process, the electronic, what do you call that? The
Cornerstone.
cornerstone by demand, but there's another term for application,
Online,
application, whatever it is.
what,
And, but we resolved those, but in the process of resolving those, we found out that there might be one or two committees that are going to extend beyond the end of the term. And so I think there might be one, there might be three, but not too many on the faculty side. So in my mind, we had agreed then that at least for those faculty hires, faculty would get compensated for, again, the face-to-face time. Sometime in recent months, I don't remember how long ago, a month, 2 months, 3 months, this concept of paying faculty for actually screening or reviewing the applications came to the table. That was a new one on me because we'd never heard it. And I don't know about Dr. Bell, but I'd never heard that one before. That's another wrinkle. And then further compounding, which is what I thought you were talking about, is that we have manager hires and even some classified staff hires that will take place this summer. So then, do we pay faculty to participate in those or not? Okay, all good points. Dr. Verdeen very well may have some very strong opinions on that based upon his experience at Long Beach, his experience at Saddleback, his experience at Fullerton. So I would not want to get ahead of him on that particular play, because I don't know where. I've got my opinions, but they're just opinions.
Eduardo, I hear the concern that re-agendizing in July you won't be here, but if we stipulate what the Senate's perspective is, which is that the chair of the committee would tally the hours spent reading the apps of each of the individual people, that would be averaged out, and the recommendation is for pay based on the average. Is that correct?
For the review application.
And that's
So-
based on the precedent of that's what they do in the math department.
Okay.
Right.
That's what they have done. They have been paid for that in the
So
past.
can we just accept that as the recommendation and carry it forward to July?
The only thing that I would add to that is maybe consider it in the context of the type, faculty versus manager versus classified.
Okay.
Depending on the scope of the responsibility, that average could be different.
Okay. Is there any formal recommendation, or is this fine just to carry forward like this?
That's fine. So what I'm going to do then is, since I understand exactly what you're saying about letting Dr. Verdeen, and so there is a possibility, I'm not going to say how high or how low, but there is a possibility that he might say, well, based on my experience at Long Beach or other colleges, we're not going to pay faculty to do the reviews. So I'll just be sending out an email to the faculty saying, I want you to be aware that you may get paid, you may not get paid. We're going to wait till July. And if by then you're done, you might have a retroactive check, or you may not get paid. And to respect to our new president.
Except what I would want to say, we did make a commitment that at least for the faculty hiring committees, that because of the applicant tracking system, my brain, so many things in one day here, because of the applicant tracking system problems that we had with Cornerstone on Demand, that if there were a few that went over the contract, we would pay for those. And I think Dr. Bell would agree that we want to honor that commitment.
Yeah, and I'm in
At
agreement
least,
with that.
at least for those. So if you've got faculty who are on faculty committees that are not quite finished, we will pay them. And I think, did we pay them the $50 an hour rate, or did we pay them their hourly rate?
Last year, we paid a $50 per hour rate.
Right. So we would honor that commitment, at least on that. So if your email can stipulate that. And as far as anything else is concerned,
So for the banking position, that's okay.
it's not a faculty position.
Right, so then that one, this email I would send would apply to that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think in the same email, you should say, those of you who are on faculty hiring on the 3600, we're going to honor those at the $50 per hour rate. We're going to honor those.
Right.
Beyond that, we need to further consider for management positions and classified positions
Okay.
as we further consult.
There was one faculty position where they ended up going back out. And
Psychology?
the faculty, no. The
Art.
faculty were, and it was in music, and the
Oh.
faculty were adamant that they wanted to go back out, and they did not expect in any way any compensation. All they asked was that it go back out.
Okay.
So I think we need to,
And that's it. Some faculty want the and then, we're in dangerous ground here because that's a working condition.
Mhm.
I mean, if Julie were sitting over there today, she'd be spinning.
Well, she'd be the one be talking about the money, about the.
Right.
Yeah, because they
Yeah.
talked about, yeah.
That's right, because this is whether they get paid or not. So,
Okay.
So in the interest of time, we have 11 minutes left. I just want to make sure, are there any items between 9 and 13 that people want to make sure that we get to today
Yeah.
versus carrying over?
Winter, we can, winter was the same thing. We don't need to do that. The only one I would think would be number 9.
Accreditation. That's you,
Okay.
Kathy.
just do a quick.
So we'll carry over 10, 11, 12, and we'll talk about 9 right now.
in terms of accreditation, we have not heard yet from ACCJC about what date will, Bob has the opportunity to speak for 5 minutes. They
you
said
ever
they
know me to
would,
be able to do anything in 5 minutes?
it's going to be
Better
poetry
practice.
because every word counts. So we don't know that date yet.
No pressure.
You think our board's tight?
But I will let you know,
Yeah.
and Valerie know, and you will let Dr. Verdian know.
Mhm.
I think you know everything we've been doing. We've got the 60/30 that I hope will go forward. We do need to sit down and start working on a plan. Ryan's been working on planning. We've had 2 governance meetings.
And we have another planning meeting, I think, scheduled for next week, right?
Do we? Oh, I'm going to be on
Oh,
vacation.
yeah, that's
What a
important.
shame.
That's
No, I'm
important. Okay.
Is it volunteer?
Sending us a note?
No. Marina sent it out to everybody, so if I missed anyone, you know what I'll do is I'll just, yeah, it's on the 28th.
I was just
I
kidding.
did not check to see
I was
who
just
she-
kidding, and I won't be here.
You won't be here on the 10th?
On the
Is that
28th for
Friday?
his planning
Okay.
meeting.
No, I believe the 28th is Thursday, prior to College Council.
And as we've been discussing the creation response plan, we're thinking about, okay, what can we do
I'll add you, Chris.
to
It looks like you weren't on the original.
begin to work on here to make our WAS presentation stronger. So 60/30 will be one of them. I think that the majority of Senate meetings have been more collegial. I think the level of collegiality in meetings have been much higher. But one concern that was brought up to us was the issue of, say in the fall, we were trying to appoint or have hiring committees for all these positions that are interim. So the question came up, how many interim positions currently exist today, and how long have these positions been
For managers?
for managers?
I'd have to put
We looked
together a
at that.
list, because some of them are in Cynthia's area and some of them are in my area.
Okay, so in an effort to save time, can we?
And we've actually created a few more, because like John Wood is
Okay, so
retiring.
can we have
Well,
a
and
list
we-
for the next?
But
So,
we just filled 2 of them. Assuming the board approves, we filled 2 of them yesterday.
yay,
All right.
The day
Which
before
2?
yesterday.
Oh,
A&R.
A&R and financial aid.
Nice.
all right.
And,
Okay.
The financial aid one's a biggie. When people go on accreditation visits, if they
Mm.
hear you don't have a financial aid director, they're not too happy.
So we bring this up in order to try to figure out how many, and then to see what we can do to start to make those positions, whoever they are, make those positions permanent. So, because again, trying to have as good a presentation as possible.
yes, and we do have the 2 deans that we've done, or we're in the process of doing. Dean of Instructional Support, Dean of Library.
Library.
So those two are underway,
Okay.
and we can say that they're underway.
Mhm.
Cynthia, yeah, has hired those, and I think, and also Dean of Student Life has been hired. So several have been hired, and that will help us.
Okay, yeah, so the next meeting, we just figure out, these are the ones that, maybe we can say, these, we had these in the fall, here's our list,
Yeah.
this is where we're at now, right? And
Yeah,
this
no,
Well,
is-
except that
show-
unfortunately people retire and they're leaving, and we're adding
Right.
in other ones, but.
Yeah.
Well, but I do think.
But those
that-
other ones aren't in violation.
Right. They,
Yeah.
Correct,
they were
because
not
people
part of
are
it.
allowed to
Yeah,
retire.
so the key is, these are, while these are the interim, only these are in violation.
We
These
will
are-
have shown
We've
the hiring of a
minimized
permanent
them.
superintendent president. We will have shown the hiring of of at least three, maybe 3 to 5 others by that point.
Yeah.
Between what occurred on March 5th when they left and now we've made significant progress.
Okay, okay.
And then we can list what is being made.
Forgot to show you this. This is what the Senate approved for the new faculty coordinators. This is a curriculum that the Senate wants the 3 new faculty coordinators to provide our new faculty. The only caveat that the Senate said is that whereas we said this is what we want on week 1, this is what we want on day 1, day 2, forget about that. The 3 coordinators, they are going to determine what is given when.
Good.
And we do also understand that the deans want the responsibility of the mentor. So,
That's why in day one, they were.
right, so it's not the coordinators, it's not us, but the deans will determine who I want to be the mentor for you. So it won't be the faculty, it'll be the dean. And whenever the coordinators decide when that dean meeting will be, here we just, it'll be up to the deans, and whether it's an hour, 2 hours. And the other thing that the Senate said, that there might be some workshops that new faculty don't need to attend to. And as Anya said, we can split them up. Since you already did, you can go over here, you can go here, or A, B, or C. But this is the approved curriculum to give to the,
So this says here, Board, the content of the new faculty orientation with some revisions added here. So is this the whole outline, or
this
is
is,
this?
yeah, just, we didn't have time to eliminate. This is just something that we showed them, and then we added the,
So this is the total outline.
this is the total outline. Yes, so just eliminate that first paragraph, eliminate day 1, eliminate day 2, during semester, week 1. All that is gone. It is the coordinators that are going to determine when they want to provide this. Now, if the deans want to speak to the 3 coordinators that we would prefer this time, I guess I don't see why not, why they could not work in conjunction with them.
Now, I asked that survey be done of the faculty who had been through the prior, and you haven't seen it, Bob.
And that survey that Sheila presented?
Was that taken into consideration
No,
with
because
this?
this had already, the vote
already been
had already
voted
been,
on.
had already been done. So that information, that survey was already was after the
Too late.
vote.
This is
Yeah.
voted on,
But
So-
maybe we need to go back and look at that.
Well, again, this is for this year,
Yeah.
and so, and I think the coordinator positions is for 1 year, and this curriculum is for 1 year, so next year, whatever.
Yeah, but this
you-
is 36 people we're
Right.
talking about.
I think the idea that the faculty felt like we now have a professional development policy. Many of the things that used to be done can be done as part of professional development, and then anybody on the campus can go. They don't only have to be given to new teachers.
as a matter of fact.
No, I
when
agree
they
with
sit on
that.
the
I
board,
mean-
they
I mean, I-
express an interest in taking, for example, a workshop in project-based learning or a workshop in thematic pathways. They were all very much
They
interested.
said, why
in
should
this.
that be only the new
And
faculty?
as
We
you
want
No,
to
I
Yeah.
agree. I would
Yeah.
just replicate it later in the semester for other
And you made a
people.
really good point that a lot of the new instructors coming in had not taught before. But many of the people who've been hired have taught.
Or not-
and
not in
they
the
know a
community
great deal.
college.
So if these are a continuous offering of workshops through the professional development program, then you can elect which workshops you need to take and which would help you. And so that's why, in the discussion at the Senate, a lot of people did agree that, focusing on pedagogy in these workshops will certainly benefit some people, but many of the 36 simply don't need it. And to overload new people the first year with all the difficulty and just getting acquainted with the culture of the campus and just getting acclimatized to, teaching 4 classes or whatever is a lot. And so we thought that it would be better that people could elect to choose what they needed to take. And also that all faculty on campus could take these workshops. And that's what my understanding that we were going towards with the professional development program is a continuous program of workshops for people to choose from.
So who's actually doing, who are the people who are doing the training?
I have to, or Susan Bauer and I will interview.
So you haven't done that yet?
No, I have it,
Okay.
it's,
So-
we will do it, but, I would like the.
If I understand what you're saying, Kathy,
And
is
Stephanie
that,
has a comment too.
I just have a question. So the idea that we would be offering all this other stuff as professional development stuff, since the policy hasn't actually been passed and we don't have a plan in place, shouldn't we perhaps incorporate those into this year until all of that is set up?
So the Senate already voted for this. So anything else would fall under next year. It's that simple. So whether or not the policy is passed, not passed, the Senate understands that the policy will pass this year. And the Senate understands that this will be provided this year. And if, once the policy passes, it could be provided in the fall. That could be for all faculty, but this is for the new faculty orientations only.
I think we're getting a little bit off our agenda, but I'm going to re-agendize this for next meeting.
Okay, we just
further
wanted
discussion.
to present this to you.
And I think by then you'll have some more information on who the coordinators are, and then
When is the thing, excuse me, when is the hiring committee?
I just have to schedule it, probably
Oh, okay.
maybe next week.
Okay. Do we have a lot of people?
I have to do it for several of the positions, the study abroad, new ones too.
A lot of people apply for it?
For this one, 4.
That's it? Wow, okay.
who's-
One out of
4 really good people. I'm
Really
sure.
good people.
how much study abroad?
Anything else for the good of the order?
I would like to, but I'd like to look at that survey, because I asked that it be done, and 29 faculty took the time to complete a survey. And I think a minimum of 29. I think we should at least look at it and say, these are new faculty, what do they think, that went through training, what do they think?
Well, all the senators have it, right? So what I can do, if you like,
I would like to see it discussed
I don't
at the
have a
Senate.
problem, if you think it's best, I don't have a problem of putting this curriculum on the topic on the agenda
For the 18th.
for the 18th and see if and that'll give the senators time to look at
Right.
this information, if they believe that more should be added.
So that would be perfect.
It's not up to us.
Then the Capm meeting on the 10th could inform the 18th.
How many more academic senate meetings are you guys going to do between now and the end of the year?
As many as we can, we're hoping by 10 more, as soon as just squeeze them in. No, we have one.
One?
June 18th. And then I believe the new Senate exec was working on a schedule with,
Stephanie, you guys plan to do anything in July?
No, we haven't.
So maybe August.
But I'm not saying we're not, I'm just saying we have.
We haven't planned.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
so, anything else? Thank you. All right, appreciate it, everybody.
thanks guys.
Thank you.
It's good to have honest, open communication.